and remain standing until the conclusion of the reading of the proclamation. Ladies and gentlemen, the proclamation. All persons having any business before this honorable court now draw nigh, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Queen.
Please be seated.
Admission of lawyers. Shabul Abu Slayman.
May it please the court, I move that my nephew, Shabul Abu Slayman, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Shabul Abu Slayman be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Tiani Rose Ackers-Jones.
May it please the court, I move that Tiane Rose Ackers-Jones be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Tiane Rose Ackers-Jones be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Gay Therese Archer.
May it please the court, I move that Gay Therese Archer be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Gay Therese Archer be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sarah Ellis Bath.
May it please the court, I move that Sarah Ellis Bath be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sarah Ellis Bath be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jackie Brinkman.
May it please the court, I move that Jackie Brinkman be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jackie Brinkman be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Mark Andrew Baleno Bamakteo.
May it please the court, I move that Mark Andrew Bumactao be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Mark Andrew Baleno Bumatawa be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Amber Edith Burton.
May it please the court, I move that Amber Edith Burton be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Amber Edith Burton be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jeremy Chan.
May it please the court, I move that Jeremy Chan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jeremy Chan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Maxwell James Crawford.
May it please the court, I move that my son, Maxwell James Crawford, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Maxwell James Crawford be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Nicholas Alexander Croskill.
May it please the court, I move that Nicholas Alexander Croskill be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Nicholas Alexander Croskill be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Richard Neil Easton.
May it please the court, I move that Richard Neil Easton be admitted as a lawyer.
Let Richard Neil Easton be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sarah Farhat.
May it please the court, I move that Sarah Farhat be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sarah Farhat be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Emma Fitzmaurice.
May it please the court, I move that Emma Fitzmaurice be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Emma Fitzmaurice be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Guillermo Garcia Perote Rodolfo.
May it please the court, I move that my husband, Guillermo Garcia Perote Rodolfo, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Guillermo Garcia Perote Rodolfo be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jason Luke Hess.
May it please the court, I move that Jason Luke Hess be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jason Luke Hess be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Nina Ho.
May it please the court, I move that Nina Ho be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Nina Ho be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Seo Hee Jung.
Let Seo Hee Jung be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Daniel James Sung Hyun Kim.
May it please the court, I move that Daniel James Sung Hyun Kim be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Daniel James Sung Hyun Kim be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jin Woo Kim.
May it please the court, I move that Jin Woo Kim be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jin Woo Kim be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Eloise Grace Kneebone.
May it please the court, I move that Eloise Grace Kneebone be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Eloise Grace Kneebone be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Isabella Kristanovsky.
May it please the court, I move that Isabella Kristanovsky be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Isabella Kristanovsky be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
James Colum Lamberton.
May it please the court, I move that James Colum Lamberton be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let James Colum Lamberton be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Srivatsav Murthy.
May it please the court, I move that Srivatsav Murthy be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sarasav Morvi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jade Eden Naidu.
May it please the court, I move that Jade Eden Naidu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jade Eden Naidu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Tong Fuk Nguyen.
May it please the court, I move that Truong Phuc Nguyen be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Tong Puk Nguyen be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Amelia Jane Proudlove.
May it please the court, I move that Amelia Jane Proudlove be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Amelia Jane Proudlove be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Benjamin Jack Riley.
May it please the court, I move that Benjamin Jack Riley be admitted as lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Benjamin Jack Riley be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Bethany Taylor Rollins.
May it please the court, I move that Bethany Taylor Rowlands be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Bethany Taylor Rowlands be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Anita Sadie.
May it please the court, I move that Anita Sadie be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Anita Sadie be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Amanda Claire Silva.
May it please the court, I move that Amanda Claire Silver be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Amanda Claire Silver be admitted as lawyer of this court.
Shania Lee Stapleton.
May it please the court, I move that Shania Lee Stapleton be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Shania Lee Stapleton be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Hannah Sandra Southron.
May it please the court, I move that Hannah Sandra Southern be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Hannah Sandra Southern be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Olivia Sue Young Tang.
May it please the court, Your Honours, it is with great pleasure I move that Olivia Suyong Tan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Olivia Suyong Tan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Maura Shireen Gabrielle Villarreal.
May it please the court, I move that Maura Villarreal be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Maura Shireen Gabrielle Villarreal be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Anne-Marie Zenos.
May it please the court, I move that Anna Marie Xenos be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Anna Marie Xenos be admitted as a lawyer of this court. It would be necessary for the purpose of an oath or affirmation that all those being admitted today stand up but remain in your current places. Could all admittees please stand?
Shabal Abu Slayman. Tiani Rose Ackers-Jones. Gay Therese Archer. Sarah Ellis Barth. Jackie Brinkman. Mark Andrew Beleno Bumaktau. Amber Edith Burton. Jeremy Chan. Maxwell James Crawford. Nicholas Alexander Koskell. Richard Neil Easton. Sarah Farhat. Alma Fitzmaurice. Guillermo Garcia Porte Rodolfo. Jason Luke Hess. Nina Ho. Xiaohei Jung. Daniel James Sung Hyun Kim. Jin Woo Kim. Eloise Grace Kneebone. Isabella Kristanovsky. James Colum Lamberton. Srivatsav Murthy. Jade Eden Naidu. Tong Fuk Nguyen. Amelia Jane Proudlove. Benjamin Jack Riley. Bethany Taylor Rollins, Anita Sadie, Amanda Claire Silva, Shania Lee Stapleton, Hannah Sandra Suthran, Olivia Su Yung Tan, Moira Shireen Gabriels Villarreal, Anna Marie Zenos. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"?
So help me God.
Please be seated. Now that the formal part of the proceedings has ended, I'd like to warmly welcome you to the Supreme Court of New South Wales. Present with me on the bench today, to my right, is Justice McCallum, who is a member of the Court of Appeal, and on my left, Justice Stevenson, who is a member of the Equity Division of the Court. Together, we constitute the court that has, in exercise of its jurisdiction, admitted you to practice. As we gather here today, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. We recognise the long-standing and enduring customs of Australia's First Nations and acknowledge with deep regret the role our legal system has played in perpetrating many injustices against Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. To all the new lawyers here today, welcome to the legal profession. Today is a day for celebration. You have all worked extremely hard to get here, through caffeine-fueled nights and obscure problem questions, reading countless wafer-thin pages of textbook and more cases than you can ever hope to remember. Rest assured, for those of you with a bibliophobia, that is a fear of running out of reading material, as lawyers that fear will never materialise. You have entered the world of eggshell skulls, encountered a mysterious reasonable person, and have understood the Constitution consists of a lot more than just the vibe of the thing. In becoming a lawyer, you have today joined a centuries-old profession with really ancient origins. The custom of advocates swearing an admissions oath dates back to the 12th century. This court first admitted lawyers to practice in 1824, and by 1830, the names of lawyers were entered onto rolls in this state. You have now become part of this tradition almost 200 years later. Perhaps for some of you, or more likely for your family and friends, that's how long it feels that you've been studying. No doubt your family... on that note, I am pleased to welcome those of you watching here today or on the live stream. For many of you, the support of your family and friends would have been invaluable. No doubt they have from time to time been on the receiving end of your finely polished skills of argument and persuasion. I do hope you take the time to thank them today. The oath or affirmation you have made today is a serious one and deserves solemn regard. Whether you work in private practice, at the bar, in a community legal centre, or an entirely different field, you should be known for your honesty, your integrity, and your commitment to justice. It is in acknowledgement of this weighty responsibility that we observe today's unique formalities, including the moving of lawyers, swearing of oaths, and even our somewhat strange choice of fashion. I do recall on one occasion some years ago, a young member of the audience asked if we were doing Santa photos after the ceremony. Regrettably, we were not. However, although we mark this occasion with formality and tradition, not everything in the legal profession remains static. You'll be unsurprised to hear that last year we had to adapt quite a bit. COVID-19 meant a rapid shift to increased use of virtual courtroom setups and technology to ensure access to justice continued in the midst of a pandemic. Things didn't always go smoothly, as those with me on the bench can probably attest to. There have been real difficulties to grapple with in terms of open justice, effective communication and fairness to participants. And occasionally, even a lawyer might get stuck behind a Zoom kitten filter. But for all the challenges we faced, the impetus is greater than ever before for us to prioritise flexibility and accessibility. Better use of technology and increased working from home arrangements have profound implications for how our legal system interacts with many people, including those in rural and remote areas, those with a disability, carers' medical conditions, or carers' responsibilities. As the newest members of the profession, you are at the forefront of innovation in the law and have a unique opportunity to see through changes so that justice is done openly and equitably. There are, of course, other changes that deserve attention. When we think of the diversity of the legal profession, we encounter the duality that we have come very far, but that much still needs to be done. Though women were originally not permitted to practice, since 2018, women have made up more than half of the solicitors with a practicing certificate in New South Wales and make up 63% of solicitors under the age of 30. Women occupy many of the most senior positions in the law, including, of course, the Chief Justice of Australia. However, women continue to face challenges of representation, including amongst judges of this court and, for example, amongst barristers in speaking roles in the High Court. It is heartening on that note, though, to see that the local court of New South Wales has almost achieved gender parity amongst magistrates. However, we must not be complacent about these issues. There are other noticeable diversity concerns that we must face head-on. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people continue to be alarmingly underrepresented in the legal profession, and particularly within the judiciary and the ranks of senior counsel. We must also be alert to barriers to the profession for people from less privileged backgrounds. Law should not be a profession for the wealthy, and the idea that students may be dissuaded from studying law by the cost of a law degree, which this year has again increased, or by other systemic issues, is troubling. Not just this, but we will only achieve a truly diverse profession when barriers to advancement are broken down and people from different backgrounds are properly supported in a collegiate and inclusive environment, free from harassment and discrimination. These issues are fundamental to a just and transparent legal system and to the legitimacy of the rule of law. We need diverse representation amongst advocates and judges so that all people who become involved in our justice system can be properly heard and fairly engaged with by a system reflective of our broader community. Despite these challenges, there is real scope for change. There is far greater diversity of background amongst junior lawyers than those who have been around for as long as me. And to prove this, you only need to look around the courtroom to your fellow admittees and then look at the paintings on the wall to see that that is undoubtedly the case. Further, you are in a unique position as new lawyers who are entering the profession at a time when more than ever your words and actions are being heard and taken seriously, particularly when you agitate to correct injustices, whether it be speaking out about unsustainable working cultures, sexual harassment or bullying within the profession, unfair laws, or systemic failings affecting our society's most vulnerable. I urge you to continue to speak up for those things. They do matter. You are the future of the profession and will steer the direction it will take. As a lawyer, you'll also need to make difficult ethical decisions at times. With regards to our personal characteristics, lawyers have been the butt of jokes for centuries. Some would say there are, of course, only a handful of lawyer jokes, the rest are true stories. But jokes aside, you must use the tools you have developed to think critically and not compromise on your fundamental duties to the court and the administration of justice and the other ethical duties that you must uphold. Now that you are lawyers, you can get paid to argue instead of just arguing for free. Of course, there is a lot more to it than that. You are an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator, and an advocate for the marginalised. As you go about your day-to-day work, remember that you're not merely dealing with the law in a vacuum as a series of abstract concepts, but law as it applies to people's lives. For that reason, you must strive to deliver legal services competently and fearlessly, with courtesy and integrity. Justice Gageler, before he was a High Court judge, once said, "You must be prepared to give the same answer to the same questions for the same reasons no matter who asks the question or for what purpose or in what context the asking may occur. That is foundational to upholding the rule of law. For those of you who will practice law, the way you communicate information to others will have profound consequences for access to justice. For a non-lawyer, the law is often incomprehensible, and one of your roles as a lawyer will be to make law accessible to others, sometimes by deciphering legal complexities, other times by deciphering poor legal drafting, and sometimes both. One thing you will regrettably strike throughout your career is legislation which seems carefully crafted with the sole object of ensuring that no one can understand it. Your task is not just to understand it, but to explain it clearly to those whose rights and interests are affected by it. As lawyers, we must not keep the law locked up as something knowable only to us. A client reading your advice should be empowered to understand your meaning, not mystified and confused. So be clear and concise in your writing and speaking. Plain English is powerful. Consider, do I really need to say aforementioned or herewith? Must I also sprinkle in that Latin phrase? Should I really use double negatives, tautology and wordy clauses that take up a whole page? A moment's reflection would show the answer to that question is no. The best advocates can make their points simply and succinctly. Some of the most experienced lawyers and judges could regrettably do with that reminder, but don't pick up on their bad habits. I want to speak about failure. I would not be surprised if there are quite a few overachievers and perfectionists in the room today. Even so, at various points in your career, you will make mistakes, some minor, some more serious. When you do make mistakes, your commitment to honesty, integrity, and the administration of justice means that you must take responsibility, correct what you can, and learn from those errors. You must fail at times in order to grow. What is important is that you try not to make the same mistake twice. I myself have made many mistakes over the years, too many to remember, although my colleagues delight in reminding me of some of them. But even as Chief Justice, my decisions have on occasions been successfully appealed to the High Court. At that point, what I do is remind myself through gritted teeth that it's not just a legal fiction, the High Court is infallible. But even some dissenting High Court judgments have later become the law. Finally, I want to emphasise that your mental health is extremely important. This may sound unexpected at this type of ceremony, but the law is not everything. There may be times when you feel overwhelmed, burnt out or distressed. If you do, you should not be afraid to seek professional help or to take a step back when you need to. Also remember that the law is a collegiate profession, and in times of difficulty, the support of your peers will prove invaluable. I found that out throughout my career in the law. Although you might find it hard to believe, I was admitted quite a long time ago. I lost my first case, and I lost many more after that. But throughout my 35 years in practice, I could always count on the other barristers in my chambers to share my disappointment at the unfairness of the verdict, the sly tactics of opposing counsel, and most often, I regret to say, the obtuseness of the judge or judges before whom I was appearing. I hasten to add I don't include either of my fellow judges on the bench in that comment. On behalf of all the judges of the Supreme Court, and particularly those sitting with me today, can I once again congratulate you on your admission and welcome you to the legal profession. The court will now adjourn.
All stand. This honourable court is now adjourned. God save the Queen.